With all but one piece of the jigsaw yet to fit for 1.0 of my Frankensynth, I thought this week I'd do an experiment. Of course, it's one of these. So I thought I'd take these sample playback engines, or the sample playback capability of the Expert Sleeper's Disting 4, and combine that with the random signal generator of the Wogglebug. The question I ask of my modular rig is, can I use samples to control the rig when the rig is determining what samples it plays? Can you take me, jumble up all of my ideas and reassemble them according to the whim of my rack? So the first thing I did was I just recorded some piano into my computer, just very simple chords like, and then basically just put them into the computer, did a quick strip silence, hard edits. I put a sine wave bass note next to that region, and then basically I hard panned them left and right and bounced them out. So one side is piano chord, the other side is a sine wave rendition of bass note of whatever chord I'm playing. So the first circuit that's happening is this Disting Mark IV, which is acting as a sample playback. It'll just continue, like an oscillator does, it'll just continue looping this one sample here. And we can change that sample. But instead of it just going round the same sample, I want it to go round in time, and I want the samples to change randomly. I've connected this Metropolis unit here, and that is basically just spitting out a click into our 4MS clock divider, and then spitting out the massively divided clock at, it's +8. Now, I know I can get it down to +64, but I haven't worked out how to connect my breakout box without breaking the 4MS. So basically, I'm fudging it with a really low BPM of 20 BPM on this unit. I've also got a stacked cable, which is basically this kind of is spitting out a click into the Wogglebug, which, if you recall from last week, is the kind of random unit. Now, I'd love to tell you how to use it, but it really is a kind of suck it and see, a combination of getting it to select different random samples in the disting is just a matter of trial and error, and also taste, getting to a point where you feel it's kind of giving you a musical mixture of stuff. So if we hit run, you'll hear it changing the different samples. The Wogglebug is a little bit random, so occasionally you'll get one change mid-bar. And for fun, I've also put it into this clouds unit, and again, I've just kind of fiddled around with it until I really like it. And if you just turn the blend up here, now, because I've got basically 3 different circuits running, what I've got currently, because I'm basically waiting on a mixer unit to come in, but basically I've got these 3 circuits running into 2 of these voltage control filters, 1, 2, 3. You can mix between them there, and conveniently there is a mix out, which just gives you this circuit out without all of the filter stuff. So that's all just coming directly out, mix, into the audio out there, and I'm basically running it into Logic as we speak. But if you recall where the story started, I not only recorded different piano samples, I also recorded different sine waves, and this is also played back from the disting. Where is that going? Second circuit. So we've got A, which is the piano, which we looked at before going into the clouds. Now B is coming in, it was actually in a multiplier, so that's a kind of a legacy patch that's kind of unnecessary. And that's going into this second disting, which is actually a pitch and envelope tracker. What it does is it listens to the incoming signal and turns it into pitch and envelope CV. So we've got A coming out, which is pitch CV, into this oscillator here. This is being controlled by the Optimix VCA, and in turn this ADSR. And instead of having the B out, the envelope follower here, I've actually got the ADSR being controlled by one of these clocks here. So if we remember that the disting down here, the sample playback, is being triggered by this massively divided clock, but so is the Wogglebug, which is selecting the sample at random. But what you're hearing now is the sine wave side of the sample playback being listened to by this pitch follower and generating a true live synth. I've also got the maths unit here controlling the shape, just to give it a bit of a contour. So it goes from kind of subby to this kind of slightly more 80s sound. Now, to liven things up a bit, I've also got it connected to this 4-headed tape delay unit to the magneto. Which is also receiving a divided click-in from the 4MS. So the third circuit, I've got the Metropolis controlling the Atlantis in a little kind of sequence. So let's just take this out for now, and if we just run that. It's quite boring. So what I've also got is maths with a very slow sweep affecting the level. And then I've got the Echophon kind of doubling up the signal. Something like that. I can't get it to sync with this for some reason. I need to RTFM. Okay, so then we've got that coming out and into the Herb Verb, which has kind of got a feedback reverb on it. To make it very ambient. And that's basically it. We just pull everything up, mix it all up, and just kind of let it get on. So to summarize, a random bunch of chords, different lengths, cut them all up in my DAW, put an appropriate bass note accompanying each chord, pan the piano hard left, the sine hard right, play back those from the Disting Mark IV in a random pattern based on the whims of the Wogglebug, have one piano going out of the kind of the audio chain with delays and stuff, have the sine wave going into a pitch and envelope follower that then determines what an oscillator is playing, and then get the whole pattern to be triggered by a sequencer which has various different clock divisions to trigger stuff like delays, the bass pulses, and when each new sample plays. I think that's it. Pile on loads of delays and ambience, and let's see what happens. Thanks, as always, for watching. If you haven't subscribed yet, please do. If you like what I do, hit like. And if you want to know the next time I upload a video, the next one I think is going to be about our free cello quartet library, then please hit that notify button, the little bell-shaped thing. See you next week.